You're listening to the Movement is Medicine Show, a podcast hosted by Head to Toe Spine and Sports Therapy, a modern chiropractic and manual therapy practice in Edmonds, Washington. Now, let's get into the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome.
What's up,
Bear Dog?
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Solid.
Living
Excellent.
life.
Dr. Tim, Dr. Ashley, Dr. Lee in the house.
Oh, yeah. In the house.
Today, we're talking about
team.
something that a lot of people are pretty excited about, which is the return of the gym.
Oh my
Return
goodness.
of the gym. It could be a movie title right there.
It kind of, yeah, it's like...
A Star Wars spinoff.
Now, not all gyms, boutique gyms specifically at this point. Now, depending on when you're listening to this, things could change. Depending where you are, you might have access to a full gym. But here in Snohomish, the time of this recording, we have boutique fitness and smaller facilities being opened up.
Correct. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which is really
I believe
nice.
that's
It's
right.
nice to be able to let people kind of get back out there a little bit. I know a lot of people have been working out from home during this and everything like that, or attempting to work out from home as best as they can. So it's nice to be able to kind of have, those smaller groups that can go into these gyms now and start to get that work done again and start to get in shape. And yeah.
Absolutely. And we want to put together a short episode on just prepping, things to think about, and kind of maybe mentally even kind of where to position yourself, because chances are with this time off, you have experienced some regression of gains. So maybe there's been a loss of gains. Maybe you've gained, or maybe you've gained some body fat and lost some muscle mass, or your conditioning has just been different. We have a running episode. A lot of people are running. Well, if you're running all the time, that's very different than if you've been hardcore CrossFitting, and used to power lifts and Oli lifts and all this stuff, and you haven't been doing that at home. There's some things we want to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I notice even with myself, like just things are tight that usually aren't tight. Like I'm just gaining a little bit more, I guess, consciousness of what's going on in my body just from not being able to move it as much. So personally, like I have this little checklist that I like to go through myself before I work out, and that's, am I feeling tight anywhere? Is there anything that I could do to address with like a lacrosse ball or maybe like a quick stretch? Or is it just an activation type issue? Like, do I activate my glute and that will take away a lot of the tightness in my hip? So there's little things like that you can just kind of checklist through. Using a foam roller to kind of identify some of those tighter areas is a really quick way to get on there. I'm not a huge foam rolling fan of like smashing and trying to release a trigger point, but I do like to use the foam roller to find a trigger point. So passing over, especially like the quad or like the IT band, you can really find like a spot that is persistently tight that you might want to take a lacrosse ball to. And obviously we've got those videos online on our page. You sit there, you hang out on the ball for about 2 minutes, and generally speaking, an adaptation occurs where that muscle will lengthen and you get some relief. So we already know for a fact that lacrosse ball stuff works. It's more so just about identifying where to put it right now.
Yeah. I think that's really great. Exactly like Dr. Lee said, kind of as we're prepping to get back into the gym and everything, having a checklist, or at least kind of developing one, or, kind of like checking out some of our videos so you can kind of see okay, maybe what should be on my checklist, right? I think kind of like going through that, really paying attention to your body, how your body's feeling before you get back into the gym. And exactly like you said, Barry, for a lot of us, we haven't had access, let's say for CrossFit or something like that, you haven't had access to a barbell or something. Most people have not, right? And we haven't been throwing around a lot of weight recently. I know that specifically for myself, and I know that I haven't been training at the same volume, haven't been having a barbell with heavier weight on it. And I know that as soon as you get back into the gym, what's going to be the tendency? The tendency is going to be oh, great, I'm back in the gym. Let's throw some weight on the bar. Let's try some of this stuff out. When really you definitely want to take it easy at the beginning, really prep your body as best as you can with your own personal checklist in terms of what areas in the body are tight, what areas in the body might need a little bit more activation to really get ready to go back into the gym and do these certain things that you loved doing before and now we get to do again.
Yeah, I took a month off legs once where I was like, I'm not going to work my legs for a month. And that workout when I started, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do some squats or whatever. It absolutely destroyed me. One, I went way too heavy, right? I mean, I lost some strength in a month. So it's been a few months now. And let's say you've been doing some dumbbells or kettlebell stuff or some jumping air squats at home, woo, awesome. But I'll tell you what, you throw some heavy weight on the bar, you bang out 5 sets of 5, and you can destroy yourself.
Right.
Oh,
No, I had the exact same thing happen with squatting before, back in the day. I hadn't squatted in a little while, tossed on a similar amount of weight that I thought would be fine. felt okay during, started to feel a little pull on my adductor towards the end of it, and then for the next month, like pretty much like strained my adductor. For the next month, I couldn't do anything lower body because I had strained that adductor from trying to go into it too quickly.
Right. And as with anything, you just need to prepare yourself for the movement. If we're like, from what we see in the office, the vast majority of the patients that are coming in are sitting for longer periods of time than they're used to. They're working from a desk at home that is not similar to their work situation, and that's causing some stress on things. I mean, we've seen kind of like a pretty good paradigm of like people coming in with neck pain and then low back pain, and now as they start to get into more athletic activities, they're starting to go into more like the legs or the arms and stuff like that sort. So it's more so about preparing yourself for the movement. If you want to do powerful movements, you can't just do yoga beforehand. That's not a powerful movement, right? You got to think in the context of how am I going to prepare my tissues to do the function that I want them to do. And if a powerful movement is what you ultimately want to get to, taking that barbell off the floor or jumping onto a box or anything of that sort, you need to start slow, you need to start low, but it doesn't mean that you can't get back to form within like 2 to 3 weeks. It's usually how long it's going to take to get your body back in order.
That's a really, really good point. And I think I see this time and time and time again that people just are too lazy, I think is the biggest thing to get back to basics. People just don't want to do it. And so you keep coming into the clinic with the same issue or, you know, the waxes and wanes of neck pain, low back pain, neck pain, low back pain. And we ask the same question. Have you been using your lacrosse ball? Have you been doing your mobility drills? Did you warm up before you did the workout? And a lot of the time the answer is no. So you can't expect, like Dr. Lee was saying, you can't expect your body to do what you want it to do if you're not preparing it to do that, right? Same thing with eating and nutrition. You can't expect to go lift heavy weight if you haven't been feeding it what your body needs. And a lot of people just don't think about it that way. They just want to go out, be all gung-ho, and go lift 250 pounds when you haven't in the past 6 months. And that's the easiest way to, you know, sustain injury.
Yeah.
And stay injured for a long time if you're not being consistent with, you know, good habits and actually preparing your body for those movements.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. And especially as we're getting back into the gym, I can't stress enough, like kind of Dr. Lee and Dr. Ashley just talked about, like start slow. Like, you know, like don't just jump into the same weights again. And actually for a lot of us that have been out of the gym, let's say like, you know, we've been using the barbell type example, right? So let's say you're getting back in the gym and doing barbell work and like use this time to start to work on your technique again. Right? Like use this time when the weights are lower to focus on your body, release the muscles that you need to, activate certain muscles that you need to as well to get you prepped for those movements, and then focus on the technique right now. It's a great time to do that because it's not like a full start over, but for a lot of us in some ways it is, right? Because we haven't been to the gym in almost 3 months or over that, right? So this is a great time to slow things down, focus on technique as you're getting back in there, and just really listen to your body.
Yeah, and it's a good time to also just remind ourselves about the fundamentals of strength progression, which the key word there is progression. So when we start lower, we allow ourselves to ramp then into those continual strength gains, right? And we reduce our risk of injury, we speed our recovery cycle, right? So it might feel like that when you're done with your workout, like, oh, I could have gone harder or lifted more. And if you feel that way, you've done it right. Like that's what you should be feeling. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't always be, I put everything I had on the line and I pushed myself to the absolute max, especially when it comes to building strength and rebuilding and reestablishing a baseline.
Well, because ultimately what it comes down to with building strength is actually just having optimal recovery. It's not necessarily about like, oh, I lift weights so I get stronger. It's more so I lift weights, my body realizes I need more strength, so it builds more muscle to accommodate for that stress. That's how the body works. It doesn't go like, oh, we did 225 yesterday, we should be able to do a 230 today. It's not cut and dry like that. But on the same token, though, like Tim was saying, if you go through that whole spectrum of weight that you can control, your body becomes more controlled at those weights. So what we see oftentimes in the clinic here is we have individuals that come in, they can deadlift or squat 500, 600 pounds. That's great. But as soon as they go bend over to pick up their kid, they blow a disc in their back and they have a disc herniation. So it's like, what is the issue there? Is it that they're only prepared to lift heavy weights and they're not prepared to lift the minor stresses? Or is it that their body isn't connecting properly because it's only used to that big, noxious type of stimulus? And I guess that can be like an argument for another day. But realistically, we know for sure that if we can fill in the blanks and like do the low weights and ramp up to the high and then come back down, much like a baseball player would do with their batting practice, it's going to be better or more beneficial than it would be detrimental.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of an analogy used, like I know I've been using the CrossFit analogy a lot because I do CrossFit. But anyway, it's kind of like, they always say when you're going through any sort of lifting, like you should be able to do the movement with a PVC pipe and then with an empty barbell, and then you can add weight, right? You should have great technique with no weight, then the bar, and then add weight before you can start to stack weight on that bar and start to pull it. Have great body mechanics as you're going through those movements, and then add the weight on top of that.
Yeah, it's just a time to remember that wherever you were 3 months ago or 4 months ago, that just give yourself some space to get back to that point. I think, you said 2 to 3 weeks, so reduce your, even too on like cardiovascular efforts. Like, so if we were looking even at intensity, especially when like we're in like a small group, small class environment, like a CrossFit or a Orange Theory or something where, the class is there to help you push your intensity levels. That's part of why you go, is because it's like, I get a really good workout and I just want to be laying on the floor in a puddle of sweat, making a beautiful sweat angel as my breath is just, can't even find it. So that's awesome. And we all want that. But at the same time, I think you need to be very careful when you're getting back into it of not pushing that intensity too hard because it can set you back, right? So I think this advice is just take it easy on yourself, push, but maybe don't kill yourself in those first couple weeks. Give it a little space.
Yeah, leave some room left in the tank, because if you've got energy left in the tank, you've got energy to heal. Think of it that way.
Yeah, and definitely the healing process is a huge point of that too. So making sure your nutrition is on point, making sure you're getting adequate sleep, which I know that for, a lot of this quarantine, maybe a lot of us haven't been getting the best nutrition, right? Maybe a lot of us haven't been getting as much sleep. Our sleep schedule's been off a little bit. As we're getting towards going back to the gym, whatever form of the gym that might be, really start to focus on that again. Build yourself a schedule. I know a lot of us are being able to go back to work again, which is great. But yeah, start to build yourself that schedule again. Get that good nutrition and get good sleep and everything like that, so your body actually has the ability to recover once you're actually in the gym again.
Dude, that's such a good point. Yeah, I mean, because sleep schedules, all crazy, food all over the board.
Yeah.
Just drinking alcohol all the time. I just have like a perpetual growler of beer in my fridge. It's just like, it is like things have gotten into like a weird kind of place. So it's a great time to recenter on a foundational habits, because, especially if you're like coming out of this itching and ready to get back to some kind of a normalcy, this is a great time to do that.
Yeah. No, 100% it is. Yeah. You definitely want to make sure that you're taking all this stuff into account. Take it slow, release those muscles, use that lacrosse ball. We hammer that a lot, but it's because it's important.
We have a gazillion resources on the website and on the YouTube and on the Facebook. Really easy to go in there and just search for lacrosse. Type in lacrosse ball on the video tab on our Facebook. It'll bring up all the lacrosse ball posts. Go into our YouTube, type lacrosse ball. It'll bring up all lacrosse ball stuff. So that's a great place to start. And then if you have any issues that are continuing on, obviously then give us a call and come in and we can get you sorted and figured out.
Yeah,
totally.
That's exactly right.
Well, we're pumped. I mean, I'm looking forward to be back in the gym. I'm looking forward to see all of our listeners back in the gym. Looking to throw down with you guys over at Industrious.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
If we can ever all get in a class together, which we probably can't because class has to be like 10 people.
Yeah, it might be a little bit before that happens. But
Just half the class right there.
Exactly. Half the class. Taking over. Head to toe
taking over. We'll do it.
Awesome, guys.
Great.
Well, thank you. Great tips, great insight, great ideas, great recommendations and advice on how to set yourself up to succeed and get back to that level of fitness where you want to be at in the gym, kind of returning to a new normal and establishing those healthy habits again. Until the next show, stay safe, stay healthy, kick butt in the gym, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the next one.
Get
Bye, guys.
after it.
Thank you.
Later.